All right, so for today, we'll just carry on with this one. Let's quickly wrap this up. Let's see how the rest works. Okay, they want us to enable this panel. We need to enable it. They need us to load a picture as well. That I'm not going to do. That's sort of a question one question. But we need to enable the panel, otherwise we can't click this button. So who can remember? How do I enable the panel after this? This panel 2. Yes. All right. So yeah, I don't know. Those of you that weren't too sure about this, please try and learn this sort of off by heart. Because if you go just dot enabled, it reads fine. It looks, I mean, panel to enabled. So it sounds like, right? When you play it, there's no error actually. So it all looks good. But when you click it, it doesn't actually do anything. Then you realize, hey, what happened? Something's broken. So this is a difficult error to pick up. So try to remember with this one. You must go equals true. Because it won't give you an error. And then it will still run fine. So what type of error is this when this happens? If I do this, what do we call this type of error? Somebody else wants to try one? All right, so how this one works, it was our last guess, but it's good. So why it's not syntax? Syntax is actually a red line. So this red line here, syntax. Try to play it, give you error. That means syntax error. So because it's no red line and it runs, all right, so it's not a syntax because the program could run and no error was indicated by the compiler itself. Then the problem, while it's not a runtime, if I click it, no error message pops up. So a runtime, an error message would actually pop up and say, hey, something is wrong here. And that is a runtime error. But still no error pops up. But it's just not doing what it's supposed to do. And that's why it's a logical error. So it's not syntax because it was actually running. And it's not runtime because no error occurred. But it is logical because it runs but it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. And that's our logical one. All right, so try to remember this one is a bit tricky, but yes, so we go through them. All right, now it will enable the second part for us for number 2.2. Let's see what we're supposed to do here. Now by 2.2 they say, write code to receive the input from the spin edits named set trees and set assistance. I want to advise you with most of your questions, actually with the DPE, the examiners, I want to say, sort of trained into, they call it scaffolding. So they're breaking the question up into smaller pieces, which makes it a lot easier to understand. And it really helps you to just do the pieces. Like if you understand, go top to bottom, do each piece. Let's say we read that, we understand, we do that. We read this, we've got no idea what this is supposed to do. Then you skip it. Then you read this, and you just do that irrespective of what happened there. And then you can get a lot of marks. I want to say, especially with EHS, when I was still there and I went for marking, I was actually, I don't know if praised is the right word, but acknowledged for the amount of my students that in question 4 particularly attempted so well. Because it doesn't matter, even if you're a 40%er for IT. In question 4, there are easy marks. There's marks where you just need to display something and just need to create a variable or just need to read from a component. And generally, a lot of other schools, when they see question 4, they just ignore and just go next question. Or they just say, oh, I'm done. After question 3, they're done with the paper, they ignore question 4 completely. But the idea of just going through and do the pieces you can actually get you so many marks. Generally, even a difficult level 4 question, you can get at least like 60% of the marks easily by like just displaying, just getting the values. So, and not doing like the crux of it. Sometimes just knowing that you'll need a for loop or you'll need a while loop with an if statement and just creating those structures gives you a mark. A lot of times if you created a for loop, there's a mark for it, irrespective if your range is right or what you wanted to do with it. So by reading the questions and just sort of thinking, okay, with this type of question, I need these things, and just putting them down will get you marks. So try to keep that in mind. So we sort of do it as we go down. So let's do this first part. We want to write code to receive inputs from the two spin edits, the set trees, and the set assistants. So on our GUI, we've got these two spin edits. So when I extract stuff from that, what data type would that be? Yes, integers. All right, so we create those two variables. And then to extract something from the set trees from a spin edit, what method do we use? Yes. Okay, so we just do that with both of them. So we just extract those two values. All right, now we've got them. Now the first block is done and we're already happy. So we've already done that. Then they say, use the methods of the class. So those ones we did in 2.1. So they're referring to these ones. Okay, use them to do the following. Increase the number of trees and the number of assistants using the values from the spin edits and calculate the amount of funds required. If you look at these ones, there we've got our calculate funds one. And there's one here called add numbers that will receive two integer parameters, and it will, remember with this one what we did here. So it receives the two integer parameters, those two, and you'll see, oh, we use trees and assistants. That's exactly the two spin edits we've got. It will increase the attributes. Oh, but that's what I asked. And they said, use this method to calculate the funds. Oh, but that's sort of exactly what this thing said. It said, increase those two values and calculate the funds. So they want us to use this method. So who wants to try it for us? What can I do now to call that method? So generally what I'll do, I'll also go across and just go check quickly. So it's a procedure, add numbers with two parameters. What does the procedure say again? No, that's 100% wrong. Okay, so I think Winter was sort of on the right track. Just Winter, what did you say? It's just the wrong side. Wrong side of the railroad. What is the right side? Yes, it does not return a value. All right. And then Pavan, why I said you are like 100% completely wrong is, remember this is our parameters. And so and the problem is a lot of people, that's why I try to sort of tell you guys with our first few lessons that parameters and if it's a procedure or function are not related. But a lot of students, a lot of you guys actually make this connotation because a lot of functions don't have parameters. And yes, and a lot of procedures does have parameters. So it tends to lean itself to saying, oh, functions don't have and procedures do have, but they're not related at all. It's literally just a function will return a value and a procedure will not return a value. And for this function, we didn't need additional information, but for this one, we do need additional information. And that's sort of the crux behind it, to do these things. All right, so the key thing for us is this thing is not returning anything. And I'm going to show you now why this makes a difference. But I first want, is there somebody that wants to take a chance for us as to how will we now call this add numbers method? Yes, tell us, no worry. Yes. So what you call it, you can call it whatever you want to actually. This name here, remember this is just a local one. And remember when here it's received, once this is added to this, and I'm finished with this method, then these ones don't exist anymore. So what you call it, it doesn't actually matter. You could call it IA if you wanted to. Then that must just be IA, and then that must just be IA. So that name doesn't actually matter. It's a temporary name. Whatever we get will be placed in there. It will be sent here. It will be used here and then forgotten. So, but I'm just going to put it back as it was. And this name does not matter about this name. So this name and that name doesn't need to be the same. They will keep the same value, but they don't need to be the same. If that makes sense. All right. Now, do you want to try for us? How do we call that method? Country. OBJ country. Yeah. Yes. Add numbers. Yeah. All right. So trick is, so I3s will be the name where the value would go into. But remember, our name here is just 3. I just call it 3. So we'll just put 3 here because this is the one we've got in this program. And, okay, and again, it will just be the one that's on this side. So just assist. Yeah, because I didn't add the eyes to this particular one. All right, I wanted to do that so that you can specifically see the difference. All right, and no wonder it's 100%. This is all you needed to do. So um, yes, sir, I'll be with you now. So with this whole piece here, or this first bullet, the only thing you needed was exactly this one line. No, wrong one. Where is this one? This one. Just this one line. There's no one they put there. Yes, ask me, Papa. Okay, so what you do is quickly delete that space and just run your program. See if there's any errors. All right, so go to that one, quickly fix the errors. What can you see there? What's wrong with that side? All right, so quickly fix that and just run it until you get no errors. All right, no problem. So yes, so you'll just fix all those things, and then when you go objc, it will just come up. But the key thing, Pavan, if you can continue looking at this side also, is so we extracted that and we called this. So you can see this is just the calling. There's no, can you see there's no variable on this side. I'm just going to write something with a colon equals. Can you see this piece is not in front of this. If this add numbers was a function, then we needed something on this side. Because this one, if it was a function, it would return something. So we'll need to put it into something. But now because it's a procedure and it just does it, we can just call it. And it's not going to send anything back. So this is how a functional a procedure would look. Procedure. procedure calling. Just always now your object, dot your method name, and then give that. All right, let's see what the last bullet says. Display the country and leader. Yes, ask me. Okay, I'm going to do it with this one. So what they ask here is they want us to display the leader, the country and the leader, as well as the number of trees and assistants and the amount of funds required in that label. Then we look at the label, how it looks. And then you think, hey, that looks familiar. And then you remember your toString was made exactly like that. Then I realize, oh, all right, this thing actually just wants my toString. That's all it wants. So I'm going to do it in 2 lines to show you the difference between a function and a procedure, but generally you can do it in 1. All right, but now so we know the toString is the right one. Then we look at the toString. So it's a function, meaning it will return a string for us. So that means on this side, I must catch a string. So I'm going to call a variable, I'll create a variable, let's say display, make it of type string. And now, because this was a function, I'm going to say display gets the value of. And now who quickly wants to help me? How do I call the toString? Winner, do you want to try for us? To call the toString method. What do you think? What can I write here to call that method? Or anyone else? Oh yes, winner, tell us. We're open to the class. Who feels up to it? Who wants to tell me to call the toString method? What will I do there? So my object name, yes. Yes, 100%. That's literally you're going to do it with all the following buttons in your main program. After now, after you created the object, it's literally object name dot method name. Object name dot method name. Because this is a function, we need to just assign it to a variable. But so this one is the function. But because this one is a procedure, you just call it and you didn't assign to anything. Because this one's not going to send anything back, but this one is, so you need to put it into something. So this, yeah. Um, no. Quickly, just, do you mean like after we created it or? Okay, yes, yes, yes. Yeah, so what I did, let's go to the question again. See, my first part of the question said, write code to receive inputs from the spin edits, set trees, and set assistants. So because of this line, I did these two. So that line said we're going to get it, so I created them. Then I just went to the next question, the next bullet. The next bullet said, use your methods and increase the number of trees and do all this with the funds. And we realize, hey, that is the add numbers method. So because of this bullet, I did this line. And then I just read the next part of the question, which said display this. And because of this line, I created this line. So does it always just go after variables? Not 100% definite, but the idea is this is generally how a flow of programs will work. Because this is basically the input part. We're getting the input from the user. And then processing is these two. These two are basically processing. So we're using those methods to do all the calculations. So remember I told you that's like the other type of programmer that just thinks the best way of doing it. So they do this part. And this input part is that the creative guy. And then we'll go back to the creative guy because now we need to do the output. And we know the answer is in this. And the question said put it in the label, LBL display. Okay, so how do I do that? How do I put something in the label? Yeah, caption. Yeah, and that's it. So now if we're going to run this, let's see if it works. So we create that object. You'll see this one is enabled. So let's say 3 trees and 3 assistants. We click it and there we go. 3 assistants, 3 trees, that. Boom. Yes, talk to me, Paul. Ah, yes, so that very good question. So that is the key thing. So that's what I also wanted to just emphasize now. I created these variables in this screen on this unit. I created these variables, tree and assist. So I'm using tree and assist to get the values. And when I call this method, I send them tree and assist because that's the ones that's living here, if I can say it that way. But then these values, so this first value will go across and it will go into the first value space. So that's why we needed to make sure that tree goes into tree because both of them is first, and assist value goes into the second one, which is assist. So those values are specifically here. To show you if we wanted to break it, we can put assist and then tree. Now when I run this, I run it and it runs. I click this one. Now I'm gonna say I'm gonna have five trees and one assistant. Now I click this. You see now it says South Africa has got 5 assistants and 1 tree. Is that correct? No, it's not. So what type of error is this now? What error do you see, Pavan? Yes, yes, well done. So it's a logical one because there's no error. It works perfect. The output's just wrong. So this is a logical error. And just to show you, because the computer doesn't know assist needs to go to assist. The computer just sees first value must go into first value. So it's going to take all the assists it's got and put it into the trees part. And then it's going to take all the trees and put that into the assists part. And then do everything with that the wrong way around. So that's why this sequence is important. So that because the first one will go in first spot, second one goes in second spot. And it doesn't care about the names. These names does not need to be the same or even related to these ones. We generally try to keep them the same because then it's just, I want to say, easier. If you made this I3s and an I assist, and then an I3 and an I assist, and then an I3 and an I assist, and then on this side, if it was the same, then it's better because then you sort of don't get confused. But I wanted to specifically make them different so that you realize it doesn't need to be the same. But if you want to make them the same, you are welcome to do that. You can call it I3s and I assistants, and I3s, I assistants, I3s, I assistants, and then sort of just same name, and then it's easier to understand. But it doesn't need to be. It just goes first value into first place, second value to second place. And that's the main program. So that is what, 14 marks on the side for literally just doing like these few lines and these two lines. Yes, yes, it's usually this level because they want to try and teach you that most of the code is on the other side. And then your question one in your paper is already testing GUIs and all that stuff. So they don't want to actually test so much of GUIs in this question. So then it sort of waters down that this part of the question doesn't have a lot to test actually. So then they just go that way. All right. Yes, ask me. Yes, 100%. So remember I said I'm going to put it in two lines to explain the difference between function and procedure. But yes, 100%. Again, only wanting to be most efficient and short. So you could have gone. Yeah, saving time. Hey, Radia, stranger. Okay, so that's a catch up. Any more questions on this one? Everybody good? All right, so let's quickly look. So this was the homework. Okay, I just asked you to do 3.1. So they talk about a state. They tell us the unit commission U has been created and contains the declaration of the private fields. So they've already done that for us. So there's two strings and a real. And you even see this is a commission. This is a property thing. So those of you that sort of lost with your pets, here's already an idea maybe if you wanted to. I mean, there's no reason why you can't use it. Um, but yeah, so this could give you a little bit of an idea maybe. All right, then we've got that agent name, property type, and sales amount. Okay, then 3.1.1. Write code for the constructor create. All right, so I set this commission. Here's our commission. All right, just little pieces. So I hate it when they do this. When they give you these numbering already here, just ignore it because once you do your Control Shift C, it plonks it in another place. Yes, yeah. So ignore. Yeah, I hate it when they do this because it looks like they want to help you, but they actually so many students take actually so much time. Then they go copy this and go paste it, and they think it must be no, just delete it. It's rubbish. I don't know why they. It's very irritating when they do that. It really confuses everybody. All right, so yeah, if you see comments there, please just ignore. That's rubbish. All right. Okay, but now let's go. So they asked us to create a constructor create that will receive. Receive tells us what again? Yes, well done. So we're going to receive a parameter for the name and the property type as parameters. Assign these parameters to the correct private fields. Set the cell amount to be 0. All right. All right. So step one, where am I going to create this? In here by private or public or somewhere else? Public. Well done. All right. What's the first word? Constructor. All right. And what's the next word? Yes. And then what's the next piece? Okay, what do I put in there? Okay. Okay. String. Yes. And do we have a fourth piece? No. All right, everybody with me here. So they said it must be a constructor, so we put a constructor. They said the name must be create, so we create. Then they said we're receiving two parameters. Remember they said to agent name and property type. So then we create an agent name and a property type. Both of them was of type string. So no wonder group them, but remember you could have, if you wanted to go string there as well. But again, saving time, then we don't need to do that. Then that would have been a semicolon. Alright, but once we've done that, we go Control Shift C. Alright, now we're here. Somebody that wants to try for us. Somebody else. Otherwise, no one can do it again, but let's see. Sharing is caring. Yes, Pawan, tell us. How did you call it agent name just? Oh, 100%. Yeah. So this doesn't actually matter. You could have just called it SA and SP as well. So generally, because it's just parameters, we're not so picky. Because remember I told you like this is literally temporary. It's literally here for until we assign it. Yes. So because 100%, yes. As soon as this end happens, that doesn't exist anymore. So yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Property type. Yeah. No problem. Okay. And then the last piece. Sale amount. Yeah. Yeah. So because that's just what the question said. We must assign these to the correct private fields, and then F cell should be 0. Uh, yeah, but we gave it 0. So yeah, yeah. So at this stage, it's sort of like you've got a new agent with a new property, but they haven't sold anything yet. So then that just goes, and when they start selling, it will probably increase. So this is like a starting value. It's initializing our object, basically. All right. Okay, then they say write code for an accessor method named getSaleAmount that will return. What does return do again? Yes, well done. All right. So we've got an accessor that's getSaleAmount. We know it's a function. The sale amount of the property. That's all they say. All right, so let's go. So I go to my methods. First word is function. Then we go sale amount. Yep. Our third piece. Do we have a third piece? So no third piece because there's no parameters, but is there a fourth piece? Yes. What is that? Yes. So why is this for? What does this do again? Yes. Function says we're going to return something. Because we've got function, we'll have result. And this is the data type of that thing that we're going to give to result that needs to be sent back. Perfect. Go Control Shift C. All right, so now they just said we must just return this F cell amount. So how do I do that? Yeah, perfect. All right, and now we're just happy already 5 marks down. All right, next one. Write a new data method called set sale amount that will receive. Receive is what again? Yes, yes, well done. I but it's like you deliberately try to get the wrong answers. So it is a procedure. But I asked, what does receive tell us? All right. So you are correct because there's no return. It means it's a procedure. And because it's a receive, there's a parameter as well. So this is a procedure and a parameter, but the receive tells us parameter. And then there's no return, and that tells us procedure. All right, so then they said we're going to receive the property sale amount, and then we must just assign it. All right, so who wants to, what do I write here? Somebody else. Perfect. All right, procedure. Sorry, say again. Okay. Third piece. Yes. Yep. Okay, and do we have a fourth piece? No, so well done. All right. Procedure, we're not returning anything, so there's no fourth piece, but we do have a parameter. He called it new sale amount. I think the question didn't even say because you can call it whatever you want to. So that's perfect. Control Shift C. And then they just said we must give that to the sale amount. So how do I do that? Yep. And that's it. Then we just read nicely that will receive the sale amount of the property as a parameter and assign the sale amount to the relevant attribute. Just always read this one nice. Sometimes they like, remember like our previous one, they said added to. But now this one doesn't say add to. This one just says set it. So that's perfect. Yeah. Right, then we go. Next one says provide code for the calculate commission method that will calculate and return. Return tells us, Pavan? Oh, to leave. I think he said he's going to leave. Okay, somebody else. What does return tell us? Yes, function. The commission amount based on the following rule. So then there's those rules. All right. So let's quickly do this one. This might be the last one, but then these ones are straightforward and quick at least. All right. Okay, let's see how quick we can do this one. So we go up there. We just said now this is a function. I'm just going to help it on a bit. I said the name should be calculate commission. Okay, so we've got calculate commission. What's our third piece? Do we have a third piece? No, we don't. Do we have a fourth piece? What is that? Colon real, because I said we must send back money, a commission amount. So it's a real. So we go Control Shift C. So we've got this one. Now we have to work it out. So it's just that say if the property type is residential, it's 3% of the sale, and if it's basically anything else, it's 5% of the sale. All right. So who wants to help me with that? How can I do that? What do I need? Okay. Okay, or somebody, we don't need to write the answer. Who wants to think? What will we need here? What do you think? Don't necessarily want an answer, just want us to figure it out on the fly. So let's do this part. So if the property type is residential, then I want 3% of the sale amount. So what can I do for that? So we're obviously going to work out commission, which is real. All right. Who wants to help me? What do we need? What structure do we need? An if statement. Okay, so if what? That's it. Yeah. So if it's a residential, we want to do 3% of sale amount. So if our F property type, yeah. Yep. Potential, yes. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Yes. F sale amount, 3%, I said. Perfect. All right. And then they said, if it's the other two, so it's, you would have read up here, it's a residential, gated, or commercial. So there's only three options. So if it's the first option, it's 3%. Both of the other two, it's 5%. So what would my next piece be? Yep. Yeah. Yep. Yes. And then our last line, what do we do? 'That's it. 100%. Yeah, yeah. Yes. Perfect. Yeah. If we in times 3 divided by 100. Yeah. No problem. All right, everyone. So, yes, ask me.